Morning, everybody. Today is Friday, July 17th. Get a disclosure up here. It's 7 o'clock Mountain, 9 Eastern Time. Quick note about disclosures, disclaimers that I am playing with simulated accounts, funded eval accounts. It's not a live account, so everything is simulated here. The results I have here may be different from yours, and quite honestly, everybody has a different trading strategy. So please look at everything here as hypothetical, and educational, and you want to take away what you can to teach and inform your own ways of trading. So with that out of the way, what a drop off. Oh my God. Yeah, it was a massive drop off from the previous day. Looking at ES, I had an entry up here and took profit around VWAP, and then had a runner stopped out around here, and then after that we had a massive drop down, retest around VWAP, and then just die. Had a bit of a rally to the POC into the close, but then has done a significant drop overnight. I think I have a similar story on NQ. Yeah, it's trading well below any of the previous value areas in recent time scan here. So we have sell the pops kind of day, probably. Maybe get a dead cat bounce too. I don't know. Let's see what Joy has to say this morning. What do we have here? And then for news, we do have news here in about an hour. Eastern Time, 10 a.m. Eastern Time. Preliminary University of Michigan numbers, medium impact. I don't think anything else is scheduled. Looks like there's a U.S. industrial production month over month. Is that today? Yeah, I guess it is. In about 15 minutes. So you might see a little pop off of that in the pre-market. It looks like nothing else is scheduled for today, but as you know, from the last few months, we're going to have the risk of Trump tweeting something or some kind of war news. Let's put this summary here. Put the summary into Joy. For ES and NQ, here's some news summary from the feed. Okay, as you're choosing that, I just want to point to the daily chart on ES first. So we've had this ascending wedge, and we've failed here now at these upper levels here, July 10th, June 15th, high day, and looks like we may have in play this area around here. Stemming from about 74.20 to 74.70. Yeah, mark out my data, look back on NinjaTrader to capture those days. Let that load. I think even more interesting, we have this ascending wedge here on ES. Look at NQ. It's a bit of a different story and a bit more bearish looking, where yesterday we were holding this, what was previously a solid line, but we had a pennant forming. And now it is forming a descending wedge, and this level 28520 is in dire risk. If that fails, it's pretty ugly to the downside. I mean, I don't know. You see the next meaningful resistance turning to support is maybe 27,186. I turn my indicators on. Get a little closer look at this. This kind of red pinkish line is the 50-day simple moving average. On the daily, we have the 100 and then the 200. We do have the 100 down at 27,812. What about ES? ES is a little bit different story. We've cut through the 50-day in the overnight session, and we're nearing towards the lower side of this ascending wedge. And then to the downside, if we do break this level here at 7,280, there's some nearby support potentially at 7,215, 7,235 at this 100-day simple moving average. So there's a longer term contextual read. Let's go back to the 10-minute chart and look at context for the day. We made our opening range up here, which is now primarily our 5-day aggregate value area low, value area high. I marked these out already, so, and then the previous day value area high is 7,600 about, and value area low at 7,552. It kind of aligns with, oh boy, it aligns with a +2 in the VWAP and also the previous low day at 7,548. So I'd be looking for a potential short there if we see order flow aligning with that stance. If we look at this level, the previous low day, let's go back to the chart here in ES with the order flow data coming in here. Low day, 7,529, 7,548. Where are we here? Okay, so a lot of these, all these lines here, they've just have not been tested, and we're tested in the overnight session. So that's why they're solid. Once they are tested in the RT8 session, they turn dashed. So all these are technically untested. Given that, it looks like this area right here, from the low day 7,548 into the supply and this +2 VWAP, could be an area of interest for a short in the supply that was formed overnight. And you see there's a lot of liquidity here in the overnight session down the bottoms here around VWAP. This range of 75.08 up to 75.20s. NQ. Oh, this is just really busy chart here. There's just a lot of shit going on here. I mean, here's that previous ascending line on the pennant that was breached, and now we're coming down to this low day. I'm gonna put an alert right here at the overnight low. It's a potential test. NQ test June 9th LOD. Yeah, that could be ugly if we end up testing this. Smidge it up here just a bit. VIX. So we're testing some previous areas Stemming back from July 8th. Yeah, we have 20 up here. Usually 20 is kind of the tipping point. So I'm going to put alert up here for VIX. Hold ONH, run to 20. Okay, got a VIX marked out as well. And again, VIX volatility, that's going to be inversely related to the ES and NQ instruments. Let's see what Joy has to say. The AI trading bot I've created and still in the work, so I'm kind of using her live on myself before making this available to a beta group of users. Actually, before I check Joy, just look at the volume levels we have here from the overnight session. So yeah, the volume is pretty off the chart as well. We've got 20+% above the 14-day look-back period on NQ. The range, we've actually captured the 14-day look-back period on a full session range at 670 plus some. We are 50% above the volume of the previous day on NQ, and we got a similar story in ES. So sure, Joey's been telling us this is a Formula One race where we have to have less number of contracts, wider stop losses, and expect some volatility. Let's see what she says. She's coming here, volume. 40%, 30%, yes. Verdict street race. The volume is significantly elevated above moving, and the range is already exhausted the 14-day ATR. I wonder if she's saying ATR, not Formula One. Let's see what she says here on NQ. That's ES, both and NQ. Okay. Patient size normal. I see VIX is already making new highs here. Yeah, just hit the alert we set. Yeah, just wick that. That's not a good look. Even, yeah, Dow's dropped off. What else here? We got Russell. Is bleeding off as well. And then oil, I'm sure, is doing A-okay. Yep, oil's making new highs. Okay. Check her levels really quick. Previous ETH high on ES 7632. Yeah, ETH high here, and NQ ETH high. 29797. Yep. Okay, so look at your levels are good. 25550 on 28550 and 2491. Yep. Okay, so it's got all the right levels here. Let's go into this. Previous day delta is 7570, 7580 cellular absorption on ES. Okay. Right at the previous POC. Is that where she has the POC too? Yep, we got the POC at the right level too. Okay. Okay, so we got some selling absorption at that POC. Trap longs at the POC, which for that 29.3. Yep, that's just got that 29.3. News assessment, we got University of Michigan. Directional bias. Bearish. News confirms structural weakness and valuation concerns in tech. The macro headlines, chip rout. Nasdaq down 1.5. Middle East tensions are driving a classic risk off. Gap analysis. Massive gap on both of these. Significant distance from the previous close. A full gap is unlikely today, and then also unlikely on ES, but we'll see some partial retracements potentially. Structural read price versus VWAP trading below overnight VWAP. Sellers are in control. POC migration to the downside. We're just strong bearish. It already come down to this overnight low. Mark this. This is actually the 50-day SMA here. I'm going to mark this really quick at the right level, which is 7533.75. Okay, which puts us below it. It's up here. Look at this. Velocity's picking up in the pre-market with only 15 minutes before the open. It might have been a bit off of this production here numbers. I think anything to tip it in the wrong direction is going to be messing with a very fragile structure. Yeah, here's overnight low. We're testing this already. Interesting though, we're not making new high on VIX. Okay, so we have the previous day POC. Yes, we called that, didn't we, in our initial. This is a great setup here. High probability short. Because we have, not only do we have the previous day POC, we got the 5-day value area low, we have the previous day close, and we have the opening range 60-minute low. So it's, and we also have the value area low right here as well at 75.80. So that's in my mind, a high probability short. We also have a previous val rejection. Okay, I'm going to kind of call it, these are, relatively close to each other. I don't know if I would even consider these necessarily. That divergent from each other. 77 and 70. Wait, she's got val projection. Where she got the val? I got the val at 7564. Oops, okay, it's right here. 7575. She's got it at 77, so she's got it like 13 points above. What else we got in this area here? We got the July 13th close. I'm going to front run this here and we'll talk to Joey about that. Plus, those are so close to each other, it seems like it's not really worthwhile to set a separate scenarios for 70 and 77, since they're probably within the, well, not actually in the ATR, but pretty close. Not actually close. It's about half of it. So I will see about that. Overnight low extension. Breakdown of the overnight floor following chip sector capitulation. Entry. Stop. I mean, we're testing that right now, right? We do have the -2 VWAP here. I'm actually not too enthusiastic about this, to be honest. Just because we're there right now. And what I do see is down here a demand zone at an LVN from July 8th at the -2 VWAP. I feel like that is a bit more relevant. So I'm going to just mark this less enthusiastically around this. We'll have to watch VIX. Demand zone, -2 VWAP. Hold. Look for retest before entering. Anything else here? I wonder if this level here on July 13th, the overnight, would be of interest as well. We have the 50-day moving average. We have the opening range low and low day from July 9th. See how price reacts here. I'm going to mark this. 7/7 LOD and ONL. We're already bleeding off down to this. Oh my God. And VIX is starting to trace back up. NQ, we have overnight POC reversion. Yeah, if we ever get up there, that's pretty aspirational. Wait, where is the POC? 29.3. Oh shit, the overnight POC 750. I see. Okay, we'll mark this out just to be aware. $28,750. You see we had a lovely little P shape here with buyer absorption on ES. Market's open in 7 minutes. Overnight fade. Overnight high fade. What? That's highly aspirational. If I even put that dip buy at multi-day LVN 28,550. I got an alert here just about that test. Oh, she already acknowledges that these are in tight range of each other. One area pushback is that on ES, I'm observing that according to NinjaTrader and my indicator, the value area low from the previous day is 7564.75. I've adjusted my potential short to that area, although I'm not seeing as much confluence of signals to take that. I do think a strong opportunity for a reversal on ES would be in the 7530 range. I'm observing that we have the 50-day simple moving average at 7533. We have an overnight low from Monday, July 13th at 7531. And that also aligns with the low a day and opening range low from Thursday, July 9th, right around 7530 as well. Please check our data and give me feedback on this potential setup. Okay, I should start dropping code in here. My database shows yesterday's. Oh, she's still thinking. I gotta fix this. She interrupts me while I'm reading. Val is 70. There's a 5.5 point discrepancy between our sources, your charts. That's pretty minor, I guess. My back adjusted daily benchmark places 50-day at 7506. Yeah, I'm going to trust SMA on TradingView because I found that to be historically more accurate. I don't know if I fully trust the way my database is collecting these aggregate levels over multiple contracts. So I am going to lean into my levels that I have for the longer term 50-day simple moving average. Historical confluence verified 7547. July 14th overnight low. Verified day low. Okay. Set up year 7530. Zone is a valid structural support, but the structural story is changing rapidly. The trap price is currently 7591, which is already below your proposed support. Yeah. Okay, we might have to agree to disagree on this one. Direct feedback in your ES setup. Prior val. 50-day confluence execution. Updated scenarios is a 7531. Okay. Okay, VIX is moving up again. I do like the POC. This is kind of the same thing. Overnight low extension. I'm not a fan of that. She's calling it 7506. I'm not going to agree with that. And where's the 75? Yeah, this one here. Approve. Okay, she's recording. We can save that so that she auto-fills up my journals at the end of the day once I import those. Market opens in about a minute. RTH session. Stay safe, everybody. Manage your risk. I'm not going to be eager to get into a trade right out of the bat here. I want to see how things shake out. Okay. Okay, VIX has tested upper area and has doing a bit of a retracement here in the 10-minute. But nothing of anything meaningful. I'm going to move this up here. VIX is dropping. See, the NQ is holding 28,600. See the footprint, we had some seller absorption and seller delta on the next footprint bar at the overnight low. I'm going to trust us that we got nice P shape with seller absorption, another seller buyer absorption rather, and more buyer absorption with a stacked buyer imbalance, and 967 buyer delta on the volume profile in the full session. We really prefer to wait this out here and see what happens. Interesting, the VIX is continuing to slope to the downside. That should help keep some pressure off of ES and NQ. See a mix of buying and selling imbalance here between the pink and cyan. See that as well on the volumetric chart. And we're coming down and testing this low here. We had this footprint, B-shaped footprint with absorbed sellers, not at a meaningful level, or volume, I should say, rather. Given all of the absorption that happened of buyers on the way down. Like a 130 is kind of a drop in the bucket, it feels like, given that we were absorbing a lot of buyers on this last leg to the downside. Interesting, the ATR is only about 4 3/4 points, less than 5 on the 3-minute. Not, oh, get a little impulsive move to the downside here. See, we got some seller absorption, these yellow dots showing larger participants, which means we have a less number of contracts placing the 1,000, less number of orders placing the 1,000 contract volume bar. So if there's less orders on a 1,000 contract order bar, that means that there's probably larger participants stepping in, because you're not going to have a large retail player placing multiple ES contracts in one order. And this 43.2% seller delta also shows we get some strong selling here. Couple that with that stacked seller imbalance zone that's present. It's like sellers are just kind of continuing their move to the downside here. This is one area I was kind of interested in potentially taking a long. We see we have July 8th, low of the week, 7469. And an overnight low from July 8th at 7468. Looks like the VIX isn't racing and making new highs, while both NQ and ES are making new lows. This area right here is of remarkable interest to me. This is that level here. Go to NQ. Let's roll this out. I know this is kind of a hot mess. But right here, this level on the daily, critical. If this breaks, and bears can hold it to the downside underneath 28,520. It's going to be probably a really remarkable bleed off. And there's not much left holding it to the downside. We got maybe the 100-day moving average down at 27784. It's down here. We got this test as well. Okay, we are breaking, or testing at least, that low that goes all the way back to June 7th on NQ. VIX is not making new highs, but both indices are making new lows. So this could mean we find some support down here. Like NQ, what's NQ doing here? Go over to the footprint. Heavy selling. Let's see if he reclaims this area up here. Or if we just sell off and bleed. Despite VIX not making new highs yet. For ES, I'd like it to test and hold this 7469 level. Didn't have to though. We are in a demand zone from on the way back. Where's the demand zone from? Demand zone back from, yeah, July 8th. You see how this demand zone forms a touch that -2. We had seller absorption, so we might find support here again back from that July 8th level. I probably should mark my levels here. Key levels, I would say overnight low. Zone, structure, key levels. 7469. See, 3-minute is at 5.5 points. So I'm gonna put my stop in here. Stop really would be 4 times, I'd say 5.5. Put it 22. And that gives us a stop loss at 7464. Targeting, and we target the overnight low here at 7516. Where's this? Where's the overnight low? Actually, way down here. That's maybe this area here at 7517. 744. But here, this valley area, high plus, or -1 VWAP rather. Yeah, VIX is dropping. NQ is not out of the woods yet. We need to reclaim that 28520 level. Hey, Scalpy, morning. Yeah, Scalpy, if VIX can continue to stay depressed here, not make new highs, while NQ and ES are making new lows, then we should see recovery. Now the ES is starting to curl to the upside. We're getting a little possible cup and handle here. All right. Let's see what happens here. See, the Dow is climbing. Like to see how ES handles once we get to 749,394, this area, because we had strong buying imbalance zone here that got stuffed. We have this large 900 plus buyer delta stranded on the volume profile in the full session on the current day volume profile. See, we had strong volume here of buyers pushing up, but so it's stalling. NQ falling to the downside still. VIX is starting to inch up, but not making new highs yet. Adjusting my stop here if we do get here, just to stay within the give me the margin of the ATR on the 3-minute. Volume is high. You see cumulative delta is green on the 5 but red on the 15 in session. Okay, looks like VIX is making another run for the high day here. NQ is definitely struggle busting at that. We're going back to the May 5th close at 28,428. It's crazy. 2.5 months ago, we've lost 2.5 months of gains on NQ. And that's slicing through that. ES also looks like it came up to this area. We had the stacked buying volume imbalance and failed the area. We're testing the low day again in this demand zone. See a nice 52.4% seller delta, which is a possible sign of finding support if sellers stepped in here but were unable to push price lower. Again, I would not get in on catching a knife here. Scalpy, next level 27,890. Oh, wow. 27,890. Yeah, that's. Yeah, I got 27,810 where the 100-day moving average is. Some moving average. VIX is tested that high day, but hasn't broken through it yet, while ES and NQ are both making lows. We've just tested a low at the previous low. So might be getting a double tap here on ES. This might have been the entry here. Nice stacked buyer imbalance here, zone on the 1000 volume bar. NQ is, I'm sorry, VIX is retreating back. This is your structure. 7473. If we get back down to this value area low and find support, I would be interested in taking that long, but might have missed this. This might have been the double top, a double bottom reversal here off of ES if VIX continues to retreat from the high of day. We have some nice stacked buying imbalances here on ES. And we're climbing above the -1 VWAP and the overnight low. VIX is continuing its retreat. NQ still heavy below that 28,520 level. A little over 50 minutes into the market open, so not rushing to get into a trade here. There is, I think, plenty of opportunities here to take a trade. VWAP comp here at 7504 potentially on ES. This hold here at the -1 VWAP might have been a good entry. We're coming up to this full session buyer delta here. It's at 1,000 at 7494. With VIX still dropping. It's keeping the pressure off both indices. I see we're testing on NQ 28520. If we get above that and hold it, we could be ready for a retracement to the upside. If VIX continues staying below and weak and not making new highs. Yeah, green across the board on cumulative delta. No signs yet of buyer absorption. We do have news in about 10 minutes. The University of Michigan numbers coming up, which has medium impact. So we might see an opportunity when news is released for a little additional volatility to get into a potential pullback and move on the next leg up. I would like to see VWAP not touched before the 8 o'clock Mountain, 10 o'clock Eastern time news for University of Michigan. Okay, NQ. it's making its way above that level. And ES is, VIX is coming down to VWAP. CES is held as buyer delta here on the full session. Yeah, NQ racing back up, claiming that 28520 level that holds it. And University of Michigan numbers are favorable for an upside continuation. We could see some opportunities here to come up to the, on ES, the 50-day simple moving average, 7525, potentially all the way up to the previous day POC. If we can claim this level of 7520 to 7535, we should see a good movement, potentially upside to either the val from the previous day or the previous day POC. Or not should, we could. On NQ, yeah, we're trying to claim this critical level here. Yes, might hit VWAP before the news comes out for University of Michigan in 8 minutes. Damn, called this 52.4% and didn't stay as focused as I should have on that play out of the demand zone. I called that as an area of interest and didn't take it. I think I was distracted just giving color commentary and everything. But we did have the 52.4% delta of sellers testing that opening range low. Then we had seller absorption and mix of buyer absorption, then some more selling delta with a strong buying imbalance zone at the -1 VWAP and cleared the overnight low. So I think this clearance right here would have been a good opportunity to go long with a stop below that buying imbalance zone. You could have taken that up to 7,500 to VWAP. Okay, well, can't get them all. We will wait. I'm sure there's going to be plenty of opportunities today for a play. NQ, look at that. Rallying well above that critical level to the downside. Looks like VIX is falling through VWAP. That continues to see some weakness. We should have a stronger probability of a meaningful retracement on both ES and NQ. To the upside here in ES, if we hold VWAP, we're looking at what, a July 9th overnight low at 7516. Around here. Which we saw price was kind of chopping around in the pre-market. I guess the next level here of interest could be 7590 for University of Michigan. It gives us a retracement opportunity. Let's think what I'd look for right now. Retest this area here. VIX might be holding around VWAP. See on the full session volumetric chart. The volume profile here is from the full session. We have a high volume node right around this level here. Another node right here, and that node at the bottom. Then it has a long tail here to the upside. And we have a lot of selling delta here as well, up at 7511. And we're seeing multiple signs of buyer absorption up here, potentially. So we have strong cumulative delta, but if we continue to see that buyer absorption with these selling deltas here, we could see a retracement opportunity. I think I would get in down here. I would look for 7486. VWAP. I'd probably go with 7598. Put stop loss buffer 32 because we got doing 4 ticks times 8 on the 3-minute ATR. Get us 32. Okay, we're just moving on up here. It's chugging away here. We're seeing definitely an increase in order flow signals on the volumetric chart. News in 2.5 minutes. I would not be holding the full position into news. A lot of strong buying up here. Strong buying on the cumulative delta for full session RTH. VIX is still dropping. I'd like to see a drop down to the value area high to the point of control. Let's put something in here really quick. 74.90. VAL and POC long. Nice job catching the move up, Scalpy. It's a nice 10-minute bar coming out of that hold of this 28520 level. You might only get a test back down to VWAP here. We'll see what we got here. Stronger than I had expected. If I would do the psych level, then we're looking at this kind of setup here. Maybe we'll keep that on play first here. Okay, we got our news out. Let's see what Joyce say to this. Okay, Joey, we just had the University of Michigan news release after the 30 minutes of the RT8 session. Give me a read on the current market context and this news and updated scenario plays. Okay, news analyst sentiment. Hot surprise. Consumers are more optimistic than expected. Inflation expectations. Cool surprise is a positive in the report. Conditions. Massive beat. Okay. Combination is of significantly higher sentiment conditions and lower than expected short-term inflation expectations. A Goldilocks print for consumers. It provides a fundamental fuel needed for a counter trend bounce after the massive overnight chip sector dump. Yeah, Formula One race. Yeah, volume is surging. Same thing with NQ. Looking for a mean reversion bounce to target the breakdown origins from overnight. Opening range higher. Oh, actually, really, she's looking for a break on NQ off of 28685. 686. Or potential reduction at 28750. Which we're kind of at that level right now. See, VIX is still muted in its movement to the upside. And then ES, opening range break, 7513. Let's mark it in there. Broken support flip, 7531. Preserve. If the bounce reaches the zone, expect heavy passive selling. This is your A+ short for the morning. Okay, we have that marked here. Okay, got that marked out for potential short, unless we come down to VWAP or this, what is this level here? 7516. Okay, she's actually saying right here, though. Okay. Actually, let's take this here, potentially. Don't know if I need that much. I think I could take this in half here. Seven, 5, 1, 2.25. Targeting 2.8. Okay, the thesis here, if we come down here, wick down into this area, we saw strong buyers at the overnight low, 7516. Actually, overnight low is more closer to 7483. Be strong buyers here. I would see that Joey is arguing for a move to the upside. NQ doing good. VIX muted, also good. But if we test this area up here where I'm observing the 50-day simple moving average and these other key levels here at 7530, If we test these areas, July 8th close, July 9th low a day, overnight low from July 14th, then I'm less interested in a long. I really want this to kind of sweep down to the downside here. Kind of see a sweep here. Grab some liquidity, continue to trap some sellers here, and move up to the upside. But if we test this overnight low into the supply, I'd be less interested in taking along. At that point, it becomes a short scenario, which we're pretty close to right now. Man, NQ, look at this rally to the upside. +300 points. This is one area where I called out potential short off of this level here. Not seeing order flow indicating a type of short scenario yet. We do have a lot of yellow dots here indicating larger participants are in the market executing orders. No clear order flow signals though to get in. Oh, we got one delta of buyers potentially stepping in here. Okay, NQ's come up to this level at 28,800. Kind of area of resistance for both of these instruments, potentially, to see a retracement. Again, 0 for 0, haven't taken any trades yet. Probably missed one trade at the very bottom. We saw a double bottom reversal opportunity, but didn't get in that. Because I was probably talking too much. See some buyer imbalance here. That may be holding price up. Really strong cumulative delta from buyers aligned across the board. And mark a level here for potential long here if we continue grinding through this. Got to be tracement back to this level here, to this area of consolidation and test and hold. That would be still interesting for a long, especially now that we're kind of climbing through this here. You need to come down here and test this area around the 7520 area. We're going to plow through this and look for then a pop above, hold, And then for next move up to the previous value area high, I think what I'd be more interested in is targeting the previous day opening range low, which has led to other areas of alignment. For the previous day POC, 5-day aggregate value area low. Yeah, this is just grinding up here. Wow, a lot of seller absorption here and seller stepping in. Look at this. We got 1,000 on the 978, 900 plus seller delta here. So somebody's just had some large market orders. We got some seller absorption. Somebody close a long up here, like 1,000 some contracts potentially. Don't want to get in front of a freight train here, but that would be a juicy short. Keeping an eye on this. We got really strong looking reversal happening here potentially. More seller absorption, but sellers might be just dragging this down too. You want to see some buyer absorption here, right? That's the only thing that's a bit upsetting the perfect reversal set up here off of the 50-day simple moving average and these previous levels like the overnight low, low a day from July 9th. Wow. The Dow is flat now. Crazy. Recovered all of its losses. Okay, we got, again, a buyer delta here. Strong stacked selling imbalances happening here. VIX is retreating off of that 610 close, 611 low a day area. Really wanted to see some absorbed buyers here. I'm hoping for a bit of retracement here, the test, and show that that is indeed an area of resistance. VIX is retreating back up to VWAP. Or retracing, rather. Probably a better way to look at that. Now we had a little stacked buyer and balance flash here for a moment on the 1,000. Showing a nice B footprint potentially forming on the volumetric chart on ES. Okay, let's see what happens here. Now I would like to see some buyer absorption. We've had a lot of yellow dots here showing larger participants have been involved in this action in this area. I'm also watching ES on the volumetric. Got this delta here. Woo. Okay, there you go. Nice flush up. Flush here. This could be a nice exhaustion print if it fails to hold this. But it's holding that. Which is fine. If we have strength here, we got a nice play to the upside here as well, if this ends up holding to the previous day POC. We got a seller delta here. We got some buyer absorption now happening here. If this closes with buyer absorption underneath this delta of sellers, that could be signing along. Otherwise, it shows there's a strength of buyers. We're going to come back and reclaim the 50-day simple moving average, and we're going to see a nice opportunity to go long here. So we got a nice play coming up here either way. Right now, buyers are either in control on this opening so far. Okay, look for a pullback into this area here. This level around 7532. We got favorable risk here for us on the risk calculator. Watching this here. Keep absorbing sellers again at this delta, 7532. See here as well, we got the absorption happening. We get above this, 7534. Holding that delta right here at 7532. I feel like I'm not as good with continuation plays. A little harder to read. A bit more nuanced. But it's a good sign we're consolidating here and holding value. Do have some strong deltas here of sellers, forming a P here. But cumulative delta is strong, so this absorption of sellers aligns with that cumulative delta read. NQ might be retraced back down to 28.8. Here we have plenty of key levels here that were previously support. Let's see a trade above the 50-day SMA here, 25.34. We had a stacked buying volume imbalance here on the 1000 bar. Shows buyers are present. We're positive on the cumulative delta across the board. See, VIX is making its way back up and testing VWAP right here. So it's putting a bit of probably pressure on any forward upward movement on instruments here. Right. Yeah, we could have a news candle anytime scalpy, right? It feels like just need one Trump tweet to come in here and upset the apple cart. VIX is still holding the VWAP, but look, it's building some momentum to the upside on that. If we stay under VWAP for VIX, and this is just simply a retracement to the upside before the next leg down, that should give us the momentum we need for NQ and ES for another leg up. We're kind of building value here in this range right now. See, again, we're absorbing sellers here at this level as we came into this strong buying imbalance, and we're getting above this delta and the overnight low, above the 50-day. They're trying, super close. Just need a signal here. Either we come above 50-day and hold it with momentum and take that to the upside, or we flush down here and it gets stuffed. And it continues moving to the upside. We do have the value area high here on the full session. That could act as a potential magnet. We do this LVN here as well. So if it did break below this level, we could see movement to the downside here, a potential retest of this area. It's really holding the 50-day here. Is the line in the sand. And I see VIX is moving above VWAP, but not in a meaningful manner. So it could simply be a retracement on the VIX before it does another leg to the downside. I feel like we're building value here. Ooh, we got some nice buying imbalance here by this absorption. I was super tempted to hit the buy on this thing due to this stacked buying imbalance here on the volumetric chart. Watching the volumetric chart really closely on the other screen here. There we go. Okay, taking this. And we'll take 2,750. So we're holding the 50. Got my stop loss at my prescribed level here at 2,750. First target. And okay, I got it at, what's this level here? 4.8. Yep, from running that 4.8. And then I would target, yeah, these are really close to each other. I would leave a runner up to, I would say 72, this area up here for the second one. Send that. Oops, okay, 5, yes, we will do that. Okay. VIX is holding below VWAP. If I see any crazy movement from VIX or any oddities from the volumetric chart, otherwise expecting that this stacked buying volume imbalance, this 1000 seller delta, seller absorption, and seller absorption. We're positive on almost all the cumulative delta at this point, and we're holding this 50. It's like cumulative delta is plus 2000 on 5 minute. It's minus 1000 on the 15 minute, but plus 17,000 on the full session. So we're generally green across the board. Let's say this 15 minute, it's already falling underneath 1,000 here. It's only minus 600. So as long as we don't start seeing some strong buying absorption anywhere, we should be good for another leg up, I'm hoping. My thesis that we were building value in this area. VIX is staying depressed below VWAP, not making any meaningful moves to the upside. See, we're kind of hanging out here on NQ. Got some strong buying imbalance here and potential sellers stepping in here at this delta. We want to see these sellers get absorbed again here. There we go. Come on, we got that buyer imbalance. Let's cut through that. Push through supply above. And get this bag up here at the 716 low a day, 7548. Love how my entry is serving as resistance apparently to the upside. Overnight high on the menu. On ES, Scalpy, or NQ? Okay, not what I want to see. I wanted to see that seller absorption here, and now I see the cumulative delta is starting to go flat here to negative. We're testing the +1 VWAP, and the point of control has moved up here. We're going to bounce off of that now that the point of control is migrated to the upside. VIX is still holding at VWAP, but is not making any meaningful moves to the upside. Okay, now we're below this delta. Not a fan of that. Get a little room to breathe here, but this first long is not looking entirely promising. Need these sellers to get absorbed here. See more selling delta forming on the full session. Potential B shape here, but we need to close this green rather. Otherwise, we might be coming down to 7523. Yep, got stopped out. And if it bottom wicked me here, I mean, not too happy. I think for the next area here would potentially be this area of consolidation here. We've got this B shape right here, though. We should be finding support here. We do have some buyer absorption here with some buyer delta. VIX is not moving up. It's actually moving to the downside here. I'm going to try another entry here. Same play. Good Lord. Get a tight stop here, though, of like 3 points. You really like buyer delta here? I just because VIX is not moving up. Okay, well, I'm done with this trade. I've taken now 2 reds on this. It feels like it's gonna go up, but VIX is not moving to the upsides, but it's just kind of apparently doing some discovery here until it finds additional support, which could be this value area high on the full session volume profile. Got more seller absorption here. I think Scalpy thinks MQ coming on to VWAP here. 28743. It could be. I'm not seeing pressure from VIX, so it feels like it just needs to find its grounding here on the indices before its next leg up, which might be this area we found of support right around the 30-minute mark. We do have the full session in here. Let's ask Joy about this. Okay, Joy, we have 60 minutes in the RTH session. Give me feedback. We were above the 50-day SMA, and I'd end up trying to take a couple longs there, but got stopped out. What's your read on the current market action and potential scenarios? Oh, it's tankers. Look at this. Okay, we got some seller absorption here happening. See ATR is up at 8. Got 2 buying seller absorption here. Nice order flow signals here. Hmm. And this was actually the short from the opening setup, right? I just didn't see signals go short until we got to this point here with some buyer absorption. Passive sellers were awaiting exactly where we expected. The bounce failed at the top of the opening range, and prices since drifted back to 7523. That wasn't the pre-market plan, wasn't it? I called that one in the pre-market. See that VIX is still at VWAP. We have Formula One still, since the news-driven bounce failed to hold. Bearish structural read. Trend is reasserting itself. I don't know about that. This looks really strong here. Again, we're clearing all of this level here. And it is maybe that's the flush up though for retracement. A lot of selling delta on the volume profile here. Broken support retest 7531. I mean, we just did that, right? 7531 retest. So she's saying go short here, which is now at the full session point of control. And we do have a lot of selling delta on the full session. And we got it forming here in the RTH session as well. Yep, you got some absorbed buyers here. And we got strong buying imbalance that is forming here. So if this fails, that, I guess, is a signal to go short. Let's see what we got here. Watching this, we get strong buying, but we're negative on the 15 and turning negative on the 5 minute, positive cumulative delta on the full session. This is looking very P-shaped here. See, VIX is still working right around VWAP. I see some kind of buyer absorption again here. We got this seller delta on the volume profile, which is often a good sign. Testing the 50-day simple moving average. More buying imbalance that's getting stuffed. You see some selling imbalance appearing here. I'd like to see some buyer imbalance here. We do have it on the full session volumetric chart. I don't like how this popped above it, but it's not, it's tapering above it, so that's a good sign. More buyer absorption potentially on the volumetric chart. I'm going to take this and shoot for VWAP. Okay, this is my last trade of the day, I think. If I can't read this here, we got buyer absorption happening in here at this delta. Although now the 5 minute RTH is showing positive, negative on the 15 minutes, so a bit of mixed read here. VIX is dropping. I like to see it go above VWAP preferably. If we can't stay below this, I mean, look at this. This is See this bar that closed red here, right? This volumetric bar, this footprint. It's looking super reversely here at the point of control, seller delta. We got all the signals of order flow, but we do have this strong buying imbalance here. If we get below this 7529 area, could be good for continuation to the downside. You can see some buyer absorption happening here now at that delta at 7532.5. Seller imbalance happening. We got yellow dot. If this bar closes green here, I'm not going to be a fan of this setup here because we have these strong selling imbalance. It should be moving price down. If it's not, then it leaves me a little, it's red, not really convincing red though. Okay, look at this. We got, my God, buyer absorption, buyer absorption, buyer imbalance, all failed to move price up. We got seller imbalance showing up here. We got a seller delta above POC on the full session, but more seller delta and volume profile. Like this has all the read for a short. Yes, I would like MQ now to get the view up, scalpy. That would be nice. Let's drag it on down. Got some nice seller imbalance here. That's lovely. Might find support here from the 8 o'clock or 30-minute mark in the opening range. We had some seller absorption here before. And volumetric chart, we're looking pretty good for the downside move. You see it clear this area where we had slower low here and some absorbed sellers. Seeing a bit of a seller delta here forming potentially. We do have this seller imbalance here. I wonder if I should front run this. Let's front run that. Let's not get too greedy here. We do have a stacked buying imbalance here at 21. At this point, I'm not going to let this thing go red on me. Needs a break even. Got a imbalance here. Great. Got our first profit target, front running that zone here we have. And the next one here is going to kind of front run VWAP on ES. Got an alert here for VWAP on NQ as well. Let's bring us down to the overnight low down at 7513. Oh, geez, we got seller absorption here. Getting out of that. It's also seller absorption right here. Massive buying imbalance. I'm not sure what happened there. VIX is continuing to drop to the downside. Quite a scenic route here if we end up reclaiming the 50-day simple moving average. If we see buyer absorption, I'd be open to getting short again at this level and consider that more of a retest. Not as enthusiastic about that because I feel like price is getting a little spicy here. We are negative on the cumulative delta, minus 1600 on the 5 minute. It's about flat on 15, positive on the session. Might have failed this area here. We did have absorbed buyers up here. I just have a mixed opinion now. We had sellers absorbed, buyers absorbed. Is that gonna, and a little bit harder to read because it kind of made this lower low and then higher low. I mean, lower high. I mean, I guess it could have been a lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. It's just not like the velocity that this picked up here. That was unexpected, especially when there's no news there. And we have this high volume. Like somebody really stepped on the gas there. It's looking like a similar situation as yesterday where I took my runner off and then it went and hit VWAP. It's starting to look like the same scenario is playing out again. VIX is just kind of sideways here. Let's see what if we find support down here again. If we look at ES, we did have this area where there's support here. So this curl, a little tougher to read. Okay, I'm going to change the data on here because my data at 25 days in here. I'm going to pull this back down to 5. Actually, we don't need that. We can just do 3 days here. We don't need more than data of 3 days now because at top and bottom we have those levels called out within the last 3 days. Damn, it is going to fall off. I missed my runner on this. Potentially shot myself in the foot on that runner. It's looking like it's finding support though, potentially again. I mean, VIX is still at VWAP, but it's not making any significant moves to the upside yet. If it goes sideways, we could continue to see support at this level. Get a large 1,000 selling delta on the full session here at 7518. Seller imbalance there, moving price to the downside. Let's see if looks like NQ and ES might be coming up to a VWAP test here around the same time. While VIX is still hanging around at its VWAP. Wait to see what happens there. If we end up doing that. And notice some order flow signals for a reversal. Cumulative delta is negative, minus 1,500 and minus 3,300 on 5-minute and 15-minute RTH respectively, plus 8,000 on the full session. We have seen buyer absorption up these levels, which is now the POC, 75.32 on the full session and RTH session. Have the same POC. Pretty much at that +1 VWAP. Okay, NQ's at VWAP. Let's see if ES follows suit. Got some buyer absorption here. See, NQ is holding VWAP and starting to retrace to the upside. We are holding this area of support from before at the 8 o'clock, or rather 30-minute RTH, and this large delta on the full session. We see strong buyers here showing up potentially. Does that get stuffed, or do they end up Move things to the upside. Right now, it's kind of going in this clean line on the 1 minute. Not that I'm a big line person, but nice little line here. If you're into trend lines, I find I don't typically have too much success in the short term on those. Although in this case, it seems to be kind of playing out well. Okay, NQ back to VWAP. VIX still ranging in that same area around VWAP. So each time we come down in this area, we're getting support, absorbing sellers. We have this 1,000 plus or minus 1,000 seller delta here at 7,518. That is acting as support. Ideally, I guess you want to see a flush. I would want to see a flush here through this. Line here and into VWAP down below, and then reclaiming to the upside. Hey, Trade Jiu-Jitsu. Yeah, I used to use Bookmap, but I just didn't. I had a hard time using it, to be honest. Not because of any technical reasons, but because of I think just the nature, how you can zoom in and out and just change the way the bubbles read. And that was the thing I found of any value was the level 1 data, those bubbles of volume. And if they're able to move price higher or lower, the level 2 sitting liquidity I was less interested in because people can pull that anytime. And I found, for me anyways, what I was doing is I was starting to place entries and targets based on liquidity that was sitting, and I just kept on getting burned on that. So I ended up moving over to everything to the NinjaTrader platform, and I like that I can quantify volume on a volumetric chart or on a 1,000 volume chart. And to me, having some way to organize the volume makes more sense to the way I process things. But I know plenty of others who use Bookmap and crush it. I found it hard to read, and I was just making dumb mistakes with it. So definitely more of a, I don't want to say user error, but just user preference. Okay, another B shape here with a seller delta. We got some more seller delta volume profile sitting above VWAP. I see we've pushed below VWAP on NQ. VIX is still sitting at around VWAP though. It's not making any meaningful moves to the upside on VIX yet. It's trying to get above VWAP, it looks like. We'll see here what ES does once going to VWAP. Yeah, you bet, TradeX. TradeX Jiu-Jitsu. So we had a nice B shape here with strong buyers at the 30-minute mark in the RT8 session, with strong buying here as well. Out of the gate, as we come into VWAP, we see some strong seller imbalance happening here. Yellow dot showing we have larger participants stepping in here. Selling looks strong here. We have strong selling on the cumulative delta as well. It is at the 11 Eastern, 9 o'clock Mountain Time. So we're 90 minutes into the session. VIX is migrating to the upside now and establishing some value potentially above VWAP. This would have been where my runner was taken off instead of having it pulled off early. But I'm trying to be more protective of my capital being in a funded account because of that trailing loss on Take Profit Trader. If there wasn't that trailing loss on the funded, I probably would have left. I'd be more apt to leave runners and not pull them off as early as I did. Now that I'm funded, okay, might be reclaiming VWAP here. If we get above this seller imbalance here, this could be opportunity to get long. Potentially, if VIX retreats and we see some hold here from NQ. If not, I might just call it a day here because I think I'm potentially running out of scenarios and I got tons of stuff to do at the full time. So what are we doing here? Is this gonna, if that does happen to fail at VWAP, I don't really see anything meaningful until we get down to 7,500 on ES. Kind of looking ugly, to be honest. Especially with VIX continuing to move to the upside here. Gonna start setting in some potential short scenarios here. Let's look at the footprint and what we got. We had strong buying here in the open, but we see the value area low on the full sessions down at 7497 with a 1,000 buyer delta at 7495. Could find support there. I see that aligns with the RTH session as well. We had stacked buy and imbalance here. Value area low is 7496 with a -1 VWAP in this LVN at 7492. So these could be two interesting targets for profit if we do come up to VWAP again and find continued resistance. We are negative on the cumulative delta now on 5 and 15 and the RT8 session. NQ is meaningfully below VWAP. Let's see what ES does here. We get a retracement potentially up to VWAP and a retest and fail. I would be down for that. Okay, we had stacked buying and balance zone right at VWAP. If you strong seller deltas, we have a buyer delta here forming at 7508. But VIX looks like it's continued to climb, which is going to introduce some weakness or headwinds for ES and NQ. We did test VWAP. You can see this 1,000 volume bar. Kissed VWAP just about. I didn't see any order flow signals on the 1,000, which I prefer to see for a first movement, as it's a more acute read of the market. There we go. There's the actual kiss of VWAP. Let's see what we do here. I'm watching the volumetric chart for potential short. You got buying imbalance here. That is potentially failing. Okay, we're up. There again, I'm watching volumetric. We got some really strong order flow indicating reversal. Let's see if this respects that. Possibly not. Let's see. We're above VWAP now on ES. And okay, I'm taking that. Tight. And then OCO 5. Let's check these levels here. Okay, in for 2, which I guess is 10 in this case, get 5 accounts. I would say front run 01, yes, and then 97. Value area low. This is the last trade for me, so this either gets stopped out or goes green on me. And not looking good. Okay, I'm calling it a day. I think I took 1, 2, 3, 4 trades today, 1 for 4. Not the best performance today. Didn't my daily loss, but we're VWAP again on VIX. If I want to come back and play any levels here, kind of find this hard to read, to be honest. Yeah, I don't really have a read on what's going on here. It feels like we're just kind of infilling a lot of the weakness here. But I have not been able to read the market as well as I could, or at least execute if I was able to read it well. Just gonna last pass if I see anything of interest. I did not hit this profit target on my runner. So we're going green on the 5-minute cumulative delta. And NQ is testing VWAP again. Money got stuffed here at this 1,000 seller delta. My God, really? Yeah, this is a churning area. I feel like price is getting wrapped around the VWAP level here. Oh, look at this. We got potential absorbed sellers here. Massive seller imbalances here as we cross below VWAP. If that stacked selling imbalance fails to move price lower and we have this absorbed sellers here, would I be open to taking one more, potentially the reversion to POC? Potentially. Just don't want to get stuck around a play that is getting wrapped around VWAP and going above and below it by like 5+ points. I feel like I've gotten stuck in those plays before where I keep on seeing a setup and I'm taking it right in the center of that pivot line. Definitely a battle here between buyers and sellers. Seem to be holding this. But we do have a mix of buying delta and selling delta, and buying a balance and selling a balance. If I had to guess, I feel like I got stopped out of this play that's going to be possibly moving to the downside is my feeling here. I'm going to put a price alert down at 7,500. And another one at the 50-day opening range high. And what's this read here? Valley area, point control long. Yeah, this is no longer valid. Taking this off. And move this up. Range low, retest. Okay. Okay, stepping away, and I'll be done for the live for the day, but I may take additional trades if things hit areas of interest. I feel like right now, if I keep staring at this, I'm going to make dumb trades, and I feel like I've gotten either stopped out of good setups or closed runners too early. So I'm going to call this. Good luck, everybody. And end the day strong, the week strong. Don't do anything foolish. And we'll see you next week Monday. Have a good one.